Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to make buttermilk biscuits. I have cream biscuit recipes, I have different ones, but today I'm going to do the buttermilk biscuits. So I hope you'll enjoy this recipe. These are all the items you're going to need to make your buttermilk biscuits. First, flour, butter, baking soda, baking powder, buttermilk, sugar, salt, and of course your rolling pin. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off and we're going to slice up some butter, some cold butter. It's 1/3 cup. And then we're going to take our flour and all of our dry ingredients that are in here, which is salt, baking powder, baking soda, and a little sugar. It's all mixed in here. And so that's where we're going to start. We're going to kind of mix everything together, blend everything together. So that's the first part. Okay, before you add the butter and the buttermilk, you want to cut these up in little smaller pieces. You first cut them in like little slices, and then just before you're ready to add this to the dry ingredients, you'll chop them up a little smaller. Having the cold butter is the trick here in getting flaky biscuits. So we're going to add all the butter into the flour mixture. And then we're going to add our buttermilk. And the next step is mixing and blending this all together with a dough hook. So you're going to mix this, and you don't want to over mix it. You're just going to blend it all together just for maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then we're going straight to the board. Okay, so here's our dough after we mix it, and we mixed it for probably 1.5 minutes at the very most, because you can see the butter, you can still see the butter, it's chilled, and that's how you want it. So we're gonna flip it. Let me put a little bit of flour on the board first. Okay, so we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour here. And in the meantime, you should have your oven preheated to 450, because these are gonna bake at a really high temp for a really short time. So, and then of course we have all our little cutouts here, little cookie cutters. This is a really popular one I use, but you can also use all different shapes. Like I have square ones. I have a lot of really neat little cookie cutters that you can use to make your biscuits. So what we're going to do now is flip this over and put our dough out. And the trick to making these flaky buttermilk biscuits is that you want to do a lot of folding, so that you fold, there'll be different layers, just like when someone makes croissants. That's how they do this also. And so you'll go like this, and what you're doing is you're making layers, and those layers are what make the flakiness in the biscuit. And it has to be, like I said, cold butter. So that's the key. And you can see the butter still here. So I will roll it a little. And here's all the butter here. And then we're going to fold it over again. So we're going to keep doing this, and then when we get ready to cut the biscuits, they're going to be 1 inch thick. So we'll be back. Okay, so you can see this is about 1 inch thick. This is what makes them tall. So you can take your biscuit cutter and start forming your biscuits. See how thick that is? It's 1 inch thick. So then you can either put it on a greased baking sheet, or you can put it on parchment paper. I've come to be very fond of parchment paper. There's less mess. So I'm going to use this biscuit cutter for now, and just put them on the pan. a couple of inches away from each other. Okay, and then again, we're just going to work with it a little, and little as possible. The rolling pin is just to kind of flatten it, but we don't really use it much because we don't want to thin out the dough because it's supposed to be an inch thick. Okay, so we can probably maybe cut two more, or maybe one at a time is a better way. Okay, you can see the butter right there. So we're going to do another one right in the middle. I actually like this cookie cutter the best, or biscuit cutter. It's just the right size. It's from an old can. I think it's from a tomato can. So you don't need any fancy cookie cutters or biscuit cutters. This one is the best one I've ever used for biscuits. So I use the other cookie cutters for cookies most of the time. This one's going to be a little shorter, I think. So this is the only dough that's left right here. This is the last of it. So it's only going to make probably about 7 biscuits, but that's fine. So you know what? I'm just going to shape this one like this, since this is about the height that's supposed to be, an inch thick, and it'll be kind of a little homemade one. It won't be, I'm not going to use the cutter. Okay? So now we're going to get ready to put it in our 450 degree preheated oven. Okay, the last step that we do before we put the biscuits in the oven is I brush them with, it can be milk or cream, and some people use butter. But I like using milk. I do use cream if I have it, whipping cream, but heavy cream, I'm out of it right now. So I'm just using regular milk. So the oven has been preheated to 450. So right now I'm just going to put these in the oven, and that's the last step before they go in. Okay, there they go in right now. We're going to give it 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to go with 8. Sometimes this oven actually bakes it at a higher rate for whatever reason. So I'm going to start with 8 because I don't want them to burn. Okay, I just took these out of the oven, and you can see how puffy and tall they are. The flakiness is really visible. So this is how they're supposed to turn out, just like this. Okay, so we opened one up, and I'm spreading some butter on it. And we're going to give this little shorter one, the one that isn't quite as tall as the others, we're going to taste test that. Okay, I just put a little butter on this, and I'm going to give it a try now. Buttery, flaky, and super delicious. I hope you give this a try.